Okay, I'm here today speaking to Mark Helton from Hot Prospector, and I'm definitely glad that he's here talk today, and should be a good conversation. And he's with a upstart company that I believe a lot of people will enjoy hearing about. And again, thank you for joining me today, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And can you first tell listeners about Hot Prospector, what it is, how you came up with the idea, and just the background information about the company?
Sure. So Hot Prospector is a sales and marketing automation platform. We focus on helping small to medium-sized businesses to reach out to their prospects, reach out to their leads, reach out to their customers, help them to drive more sales back into their agency, into their organization. We started the company back in 2010, actually, but Hot Prospector itself, the software, didn't actually come to fruition until 2012. It was actually towards the end of 2012. We started off just basically, with one simple problem that we were trying to solve. It was just a mechanism to be able to reach out to our own existing clients. And it kind of just spiraled, out of control from there. Basically, I finished one feature and I said, I really would be nice if I could do this. And then the next thing you know, I'm, dealing with the system that we have today. So now the platform itself, this is our second generation. This is our second, version of the system. We have completely, redesigned the system from where we originally were back in 2012, and now built a really powerful tool that pretty much is the dream tool that I've always wanted for my own business when we first got started.
And I was able to look at the background and basically just play around with the software itself, and it's extremely user-friendly, and you don't have to be, honestly, you don't even have to really have that much of a tech background to understand how to use the software. It's extremely straightforward. Yeah, everything is listed for you, so even individuals who are pretty much new to the technological advances will be able to use it. Is that something you were looking for when you were programming?
Yeah, because there's a lot of, now I'm personally not the developer. I'm the architect, and I have a team of developers. So I'm technical, but I'm not too technical. I actually came from the sales background myself. I started in sales back in 2000 and late 90s, early 2000. I started selling, mostly selling business to business over the phone. And we didn't have the technology back then that we had today. And when we actually built this, it was something that was, because I knew a lot of salespeople would be using the tool, I didn't want it to be too complicated. I wanted to make sure that people like myself that didn't have the enormous tech backgrounds and understand a lot of the intricacies of some of the different platforms and CRMs out there available today, would be able to actually use it with really not too much training. We have videos and we have walkthroughs and that sort of thing inside of the system that help people who want to learn how to do more advanced things inside the system. But my goal was for someone to be able to just out of the box get in there and start using it and actually get some success from using the system. And the more that we've been around, the longer that I've gotten to know the customers that we actually work with. And most of the businesses that we talk to, I find, aren't too technical, aren't that savvy when it comes to software systems. And I know that they appreciate the fact that they don't have to spend a whole lot of time, investing too much time in learning a new system.
Yeah, I definitely think you accomplished that. And you spoke about you're moving out and finding new ways to use the software with new clientele. And recently, last year, I saw a couple of videos where you were able to help a local church expand a great deal. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that came about and how you were able to connect with the church and everything since then, and how their attendance has picked up and how the effect they're having on their community?
Absolutely. So last year, it was probably February, maybe early March. And I always struggled with being in this business. How can I give back to the community? We always, as salespeople, I think a lot of times get a bad rap. Like most of the time, people think a salesperson just wants one thing, and that's just to sell you something. And my goal for our company is to be able to do something a little bit more than just be the typical salesperson. And back in February and March, I was having a discussion with my dad, who goes to a church on the east side of Las Vegas. And I was telling him, some of the different things that our system does, and some of the things that we were actually implementing. And I basically just asked him, I said, do you think that something like this might be of use to your church? And, my dad was like, absolutely. We have a lot of members that come here, and we can use it to reach out to the different, newcomers that stop by, new visitors, people that are in the church. We can use it for outreach, to let them know about different events that are happening, and just communication. And I'm like, wow, that's actually a really good idea. We could use it for to kind of bring the church together. Well, it kind of spiraled out of control from there, because once we started getting the members plugged in and adding the members into the system, we really started to come up with some great ideas. The church that my dad goes to is a very they're plugged into the community in their area, and they do a lot of different things in the actual community itself. They have programs for the children. They get involved with the police department, and just they try to give back as much as possible. So we actually had an idea to let the community know that the church was there for them to try to help if they needed anything. Sometimes people just are down and out. They life is hard, and they forget that there's people like the church that's nearby that they can just stop on in and say hi to the pastor, or pick up the phone and get somebody on the phone and talk to them about whatever it is that they're dealing with. So what we did was we actually used this system to reach out to the community. We did something called a prayer-a-thon, and this prayer-a-thon was really powerful. We reached out to about 6,000 people in that area and offered them help. The pastor recorded a personal message directly to the community, saying, hey, this is a pastor here over at Desert Baptist Hills Church. Just wanted to let you know that we're thinking of you, and we're here for you if you need us. Matter of fact, right now we've set up a small group. There's 6 people sitting here right now to take your calls. And if you have a prayer request, or if you just need somebody to talk to, just call us back. Here's the number. And literally within minutes of us getting that message out to the community, the phones just started ringing. People were calling. People were asking for prayer. People were asking to speak with somebody, about different issues. Matter of fact, one guy got in his car and drove over to the church to talk to the pastor personally and ask the pastor to pray with him. So, needless to say, it had a huge impact on the community and also the church.
And how much did their attendance go? Because that seems like if that many people were engaged with the church now, that would cause more people to want to stop in, if for nothing else, to say thank you, or to go to a service, or again, just to talk again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's definitely impacted the church's, visitors, or what do you call it? People coming in and just checking the church out. Matter of fact, I had a meeting with my dad about this recently, and he was telling me the pastor has actually pulls out a stack. They have these different stacks of their visitors that showed up at the church, and he showed a stack of the first quarter, a stack of the second quarter, and then a stack of the visitor cards that showed up the final quarter. And the stack that we had actually influenced with this outreach program that we started was literally like 3 times as many than the ones that from the previous quarter. So it was huge.
And are you going to, and when we spoke, set up the interview, you mentioned that you wanted to spread this program to more churches around Nevada and around the country. How are you going about doing that, and how do you see implementing your system when you're not there in person to make sure everything is going correctly?
Great question. So we actually have dedicated somebody here at our company who's full-time, whose job is to work directly with these churches. His job is literally to help the pastors, help the church themselves learn what they need to do in order to take this and really run with it. The church that we originally started with, it wasn't just a prayer-a-thon. They used it to bring people to Easter service. They used it for reaching out to family members and letting them know that they had programs for the children. They did a fall festival where they brought in a bunch of people for they brought in a bunch of bounce houses and candy and games and all this stuff, and they invited all the kids out for that. So anyways, we dedicated somebody specifically here to work directly with the churches and help them come up with ideas, help them implement these strategies, help them set the system up. And we're really dedicated to that. We want to make sure that this is not just something that collects dust. We want the church to really be able to implement this and see some impact. Now, we've actually reached out to the Southern Baptist Association here in Las Vegas, and that's a group of Baptist churches, the Southern Baptist churches here, but we're really actively trying to get in to as many churches as we possibly can across the country. My goal for 2017 is to get our system into 1,000 churches. And that's a lofty goal, but I think we can do that if we just manage to get to give away 100 systems every single month.
And have you been able so far to install a program in other churches, or are you still focusing on the first church currently?
We are already in 30 other churches. We actually started off with our first church, like I said, last year, and towards the end of last year, we started implementing this into other churches. I actually created a mastermind, we called it the Church Prospecting Mastermind, where it's a Facebook group. We have a bunch of people that are also dedicated to the same cause, and everyone's inside this group talking about different things, different ideas that they have. We have a lot of pastors in there. We have deacons. We have, just different various church members that are also passionate about this topic. So, we've been able to get into 30 churches, as of now. And our goal is, like I said, to take that to 1,000 by the end of 2017.
Definitely sounds like you're on the right path there. And do you feel once, let's say your program reaches the East Coast, for example, and it spreads up and down the East Coast, how do you feel that how big of an impact do you think you can make, whether it's in communities they're having infrastructure issues, or people are losing jobs, the economy hasn't picked up? Do you feel that this programs can help people not fall into crime or even worse things like suicide? Do you feel that this is something that you can definitely help fix communities?
So that's really the core of the church's message. That's what the church is here for. They're there to help pick you up, help dust you off and fill you with love. And for us to be able to help the church with that message, help spread the message, the reason why they're here from the first place is to get that message out. So absolutely, I do feel that what we're offering to these churches and basically a megaphone, that's what we are. We're nothing more than a megaphone for them to be able to get the message out, to be a little bit louder so that people realize that they're there. And one of the useful things about our tool is that it allows the church to reach out no matter what the weather is. They're not going to have to knock on your door. They can literally drop a message right into somebody's voicemail box, a personal message right from the church. And like you said, when they're in a time of need, really just speak to their heart and be there for them.
And so far, how has the reception been as you've looked to spread? You're already in 30 churches, and which is probably will spread quickly. How's the reception been from the other churches with how the system has performed for them? Have they had many technical issues? But that's all the system. I saw it seems really straightforward and quite simple and to catch on with. Have you encountered any issues? The church has been basically like, this is great. We don't even have to spend that much time trying to implement it, and it's helping us immediately contact people.
Well, the biggest challenge that we have in the beginning is just educating the church on this, that this is available. That's the biggest thing, is getting the message to them and letting them know that something like this is available. But once we actually have the church understanding how it works and they're bought in, the technology is not an issue. We have the team, we have the people that's here dedicated to help them with the implementation. And that's really a big part of what we want to offer is our assistance. We don't want them to be sitting there, like I said, letting our system collect dust. If it is going to, the only barrier that's keeping them from being successful with this tool is the technology aspect, then that's why we've put the people in place. We want to help them.
Okay, that definitely sounds like you have everything structured out quite well. And as far as spreading, getting the word out there on a company level, what's been the biggest obstacle you've had? Is it just pretty much promotion, or what's the biggest issue that you have ran into?
With regards to the church program?
Oh, yes, as in getting the word out there to other churches and just making sure they can hear the message and that this is available to them without any cost whatsoever.
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, the biggest obstacle that we've had to overcome at this point is just letting them know that we're here and that this is available, and actually connecting with the right individuals, connecting with the pastor, connecting with the associate pastors, and getting an opportunity to explain to them how things work. It's a challenge getting in front of people who are busy. Even, these pastors of churches, they're very busy. They're helping out their congregation. And, it does help if we can get a referral in to speak with the pastor, somebody at the church. And that's the reason why we created that little mastermind. We were able to talk to a bunch of people on Facebook that we're connected with on social media and just say, look, we have this program. If you tell your church about it, we can get them in there. We're going to give you this system at no cost. You guys can get it all set up. We'll help you implement it. And that's really the way that we've been doing this. It's all been word of mouth up until now.
Okay, and this is definitely a good first step to help spread the word. And I think this is a great program, especially right now when there is just a lot of turmoil in the country and a lot of just uncertainty of what's going to happen. I think this could be a good way to help people find refuge in any way they want it. And it's better to have more options than less options. And I guess on that note, where do you see this program in the next few years? Is this something you want to continue indefinitely, or how long do you see this going forward?
Well, over the next few years, I really think that this is something that a lot of churches will probably be, across the country, maybe even into Canada, all over North America. Our system does work in multiple countries. We're in Europe. We have the capacity to move into Australia, New Zealand. So what my goal is that this is going to be something that can be used worldwide to really spread the word. The one thing I think that a lot of people miss out on these days is that personal touch, that personal interaction. And what our system does is it puts that personal touch back into the communication. We can leave a message, a voice message on somebody's answering machine, on somebody's voicemail, without ringing their phone, without bothering them. And then when they get that message, it literally just brightens their day. So that personal touch, letting them know that somebody else cares for them and somebody else is there for them is huge. So our goal here is to get this out all over the world over the next, several years.
Okay, and just to close up, is there any direct thing that what is the most fulfilling thing that you have so far from this project? Since you've been working on about, I believe, around 6-7 months so far, what is the most fulfilling part about what you're doing and some of the best success stories that you've had coming from the program with people who have been affected by your program being put in place in the church and reaching out and thanking the church and your company for doing this?
Well, talking to the pastor from the first church that we brought onto this program, seeing the impact that it had on their attendance was huge. Hearing that, people were flooding in to come and see them, that didn't know who they were. I'll tell you, there was a story. I actually went over to the church to check out their light show. They had put up some Christmas lights, and the pastor was really proud of all the work that they had done, decorating the whole church. And they sent out a message to the entire community telling everybody, hey, come on out, come check out our light show. We got some hot chocolate, we got some candy canes, just come and, relax with us and see the lights. Well, so I walk up there and I'm checking out the lights and I'm talking to the pastor, and he tells me this story about how the night before some woman was there with her children, and the children were, glued to the fence. They, the chain link fence, they got their hands up there and they're looking at the lights, and, they're all happy and, just looking forward to Christmas. And the pastor was talking to the woman and he said, it looks like your children are really enjoying those lights. And she says, yeah. Thanks for inviting us. And he says, yeah, no problem. He goes, just so you know, we're having a Christmas, next week, and we'd love to have you come out. And she smiled and she says, well, great. I'm sure you'll call me. And he stopped for a second. He goes, what do you mean? I don't have your number. She goes, well, sure you do. You call me all the time. You let me know about all these different things. So, that story really hit home, knowing that somebody who had no previous connection with the church, who just was able to come and meet with the church and have an opportunity to speak with the pastor and actually get involved with that church, just off of a couple of simple messages. So, there's countless stories just like that. People walking up through during the fall festival and introducing themselves, people standing up in the back of the church and, when they come in to visit for the first time, saying that they got the message. It's huge. It's working. And, the only thing that at this point that we need to do is scale it to the max.
Okay, and I think that's a great note to end the conversation on, and that's I definitely want to have you back in the future. I think this is definitely something worth keeping updated on, and definitely letting people know that this technology is out there and it can help impact people's lives for the better.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, you're very welcome, and we will keep in touch.
Okay.